During the global upheaval of World War II, Switzerland stood out as a nation that neither joined the Axis nor the Allies. Instead, it adopted a policy of armed neutrality, navigating a perilous course through a continent engulfed in war. Though spared the devastation that befell its neighbors, Switzerland's wartime neutrality was far from passive. It involved constant military readiness, shrewd diplomacy, economic compromises, and controversial decisions that continue to provoke debate to this day. Historical background: a tradition of neutrality. Switzerland's policy of neutrality was not invented in 1939. It had been a cornerstone of Swiss foreign policy for over a century. Following the Congress of Vienna in 1815, the great European powers formally recognized Swiss neutrality. The country reinforced this stance during World War I and maintained its independence despite pressures from both sides. When World War II broke out in September 1939, Switzerland quickly reaffirmed its neutral status, preparing for a conflict that could easily spill across its borders. The threat of invasion. Switzerland was completely surrounded by Axis powers or Axis-occupied territories after France fell in 1940. Germany controlled the north, Italy the south, and Vichy France the west. Swiss leaders feared invasion, particularly after Hitler's forces occupied Austria and Czechoslovakia, showing no hesitation in violating the sovereignty of small neutral states. In response, Switzerland implemented a policy of armed deterrence. Over 430,000 men were mobilized in a short time, an impressive number for a country of only about 4 million people. The Redoute national strategy involved retreating to fortified positions in the Alps, making any invasion costly and prolonged. Bridges, tunnels, and passes were rigged with explosives in case of invasion. The population was trained in civil defense and resources were rationed and stockpiled. Though Switzerland had no offensive military ambitions, it made clear it would resist any invasion with force. Economic and political balancing act. Switzerland's survival depended not only on military readiness but also on delicate diplomatic and economic maneuvering. To avoid provoking Germany, the Swiss government made a series of controversial decisions. Trade with the Axis. Switzerland continued to export goods to Germany, including machine tools, watches, and precision instruments. In return, it imported coal and other essentials. Most controversially, Swiss banks accepted Nazi gold, some of it looted from occupied countries and victims of the Holocaust. Refugee policy. While Switzerland accepted about 300,000 refugees during the war, including many Allied airmen, it turned away thousands of Jews, citing security and economic concerns. The decision to deny entry to Jews fleeing genocide remains one of the darkest stains on its wartime record. Intelligence and diplomacy. Switzerland served as a hub for espionage and diplomacy, providing neutral ground for spies, secret negotiations, and diplomatic intermediaries. Bern and Zurich were centers of information exchange for both the Allies and Axis. Switzerland also hosted representatives of belligerent nations, including protecting Allied interests in Axis countries through diplomatic channels. Domestic policies and public opinion. Internally, the Swiss government cracked down on extremism from both sides. Nazi sympathizers within the country were monitored and suppressed. Communist activities were also tightly controlled. The media was censored to prevent provoking any side, though reports of Nazi atrocities eventually made their way into public discourse. At the same time, the Swiss population was not entirely immune to ideological divisions. Some supported the Axis due to anti-communism or Germanic cultural ties, while others leaned toward the Allied cause. Yet overall, the majority of Swiss citizens supported neutrality as a way to preserve the nation's independence and democracy. Post-war scrutiny and reassessment. Switzerland emerged from World War II physically unscathed, unlike most European nations. Its cities were intact, and its economy was ready to grow rapidly in the post-war boom. However, this survival came at a moral and political cost. In the decades after the war, Switzerland faced increasing scrutiny. Gold and banking scandals revealed Swiss banks had profited from Nazi assets, including stolen Jewish wealth. The country's refugee policies were widely condemned for their rigidity and lack of compassion. Historians and international watchdogs accused Switzerland of prioritizing economic interests over humanitarian values. In the 1990s, the Swiss government took steps to address this legacy. A historical commission was established to investigate the wartime record, and several reparations and restitution programs were launched for Holocaust survivors and their descendants. Conclusion: neutrality with a price. Switzerland's armed neutrality in World War II allowed it to avoid occupation, maintain independence, and protect its democratic institutions. It showed remarkable foresight in military preparedness and played a vital role as a diplomatic and intelligence hub during a time of global conflict. Yet its neutrality was not without compromise. The moral cost of cooperating with Nazi Germany, the refusal to admit more Jewish refugees, and the post-war banking controversies remain subjects of national reflection and international debate. Today, Switzerland's World War II legacy serves as a cautionary tale of how neutrality, while sometimes necessary for survival, must be balanced with ethical responsibility. The country's experience highlights the complexities of staying out of war while living at its very edge.